Hey guys, how's it going? So today I'm doing a user requested video and hopefully it works out alright on how to, there they are kind of, yeah, how to install these little cheap bar and mirrors. Now, I installed these in my bike probably 9 months ago now, so I'm actually doing this kind of by memory-ish, but I wanted to give you guys kind of a quick video on how I did it. So if you have these kind of bar ends, these ones that you bought, that has this kind of like little spreader thing, and then a nut, which at this point is kind of, you can see it kind of stuck right here, because that's how it is at this point, and you have your bar end mirror with a bolt. So I'm going to set the mirror aside for now. So the key to the whole thing is this little combination of this spreader thingy with these that spreads out and this nut. Now, when you get yours, of course, it'll come. This nut right here will come separate from the spreader. But at this point, mine is kind of jammed in there because that's how I installed this, which I'll kind of show you guys here in a minute. Mine is kind of jammed into that spreader at this point, so I can't really take it out. So how this kind of works is that this little slider thing with the nut in it slides into your bar end right here, and it sits in there like that, and then the bar and mirror bolt just bolts right into there. So the key to the whole process is that this spreader right here, the spreader around the nut, has to fit basically perfectly in the bar end so that it holds it. And then you screw your bar end mirror into that. Get this back out with my Allen wrench. So this is how I did this. So first of all, you have pliers. Now, what you really need to do is you need to spread with the pliers, spread the little tong things out a little bit, enough for you to kind of push the end of the bolt. You can see it through there, well, kind of in there on the other side. And so you need to spread the spreaders apart enough to get that bolt started in there. And basically where I went from there was to kind of gradually hammer the bolt, or this nut, in to the spreaders to continue to spread the spreader apart as it pushes in. And I hit it in enough with the hammer until it just barely fits in there in the bar end. And it should be like hard to push it in because it needs to barely fit in there. Now since I pulled it out, I loosened it a little bit, so you can see that mine is a fairly tight fit, but it doesn't slide in there and stay. So oh crap, let me pull this back out. You have to be a little careful with this that you don't like lose it down in your bar. Okay, there it is again, sorry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a hammer. What I did with the hammer now is that I hammered the bolt in a little bit more, or the nut rather, in a little bit more into that. You can see it's hard to tell, but it's a little crooked, so I'm going to have to straighten it out. So I'll go ahead and try to push this in now. And my bar has a little groove in it, which kind of matches up with one of these lines right here, so I try to line it up with that when I push it in. Alright, and you can see that I hit it in a little too hard, so I spread the spreader a little too wide, just barely, to fit my bar end. So what I'm going to do instead to pull it back out a little bit is with my needle nose pliers, I'm going to go ahead and grip onto that bolt and pull on it a little bit, just to ease it out. And you see I actually loosened it all the way now, so I'm going to have to push it back in. But there's just the spreader. Now, if I try to push this in without the bolt, you can see it easily fits now. So I'm going to go ahead and hammer my bolt, or my nut. This is what the nut looks like, yeah. I'm going to hammer that back in there, and so it spreads back out. Now, when I'm actually hammering this, I don't need to hammer it very hard because it will slide in very easily. So let's try it again. And again, I've done it too wide. So I'm going to pull this back a little bit. It's really just a process of kind of trial and error, sort of do a little bit, put it in. If it doesn't fit, do a little bit more, you know, that kind of stuff. So I'm going to pull this back out just a little bit. Try to make sure it's fairly, you know, flush or fairly flat, so that way it screws in, or your bolt will screw in properly. And it's still too wide, so I'm going to do it a little bit more. Alright guys, so I have kind of hammered this back in. You can see at this point it's kind of hard to tell, but the nut has gotten a little banged up, so you have to be careful, because it's fairly soft metal and you don't want to, you know, squeeze it too hard with your pliers and mess up the threads or something like that. So now again, I'm going to line one of these up with the groove in my bar end. If you need to, you can gently tap with a hammer. Just be careful not to hit it too hard or too far in. And you can see now it's nice and flush right there with the end of the bar. So now, that is the tough part. That's all of the work right there. Now, you have your bar end mirror, and it has an Allen end. So all you have to do now, because you remember that nut is inside that spreader, so it's being held. So all you have to do is kind of push this on here, line it up, and start screwing it in. You can see now it's being held, it's screwing into that bolt. Get your little Allen wrench here. Start turning it. Okay, so you do want to get your bar, you want to get it down nice and tight. And the reason it is, obviously it won't wiggle, but also it means that the nut inside the spreader, as you twist it harder, that nut is pulled in more and more into the spreader. So now it is fully spread out and gripping onto the inside of the bar, and you can see I cannot pull that out. It's in there nice and tight. You can turn this a little bit to kind of get it to the angle you want. I pretty much have mine almost straight up. So there's one last thing, of course, you need to do, and that is once you have your main Allen bolt tied down, you need to, these little ones right here, you need to tighten these down so that the mirror itself won't move, or you know, it won't rotate. So really what you need to do with this is you need to sit on the bike, you need to you know, sit and look at it and then aim the mirror as you want to, which mine it should be right now. And then of course you just want to tie or tighten both of these bolts down right here, this one and mainly this top one. This top one's the big important one. Once you tighten that down, then your mirror won't move and it'll be good to go. Okay, so again, that process is, just from the beginning, is to, you start with your main spreader, you pull the sides apart just a little bit, enough to get your nut started inside of it. And then gently with a hammer, you just want to hit that nut in until it's about going to fit inside of this. So you want it to barely be able to slide inside here. Then you just push it in until it's flush with the end of the bar, and then you can go ahead and screw your mirror in and screw down the main Allen bolt on the back, or screw, or whatever it is that comes with your mirror. Screw it down until it's nice and tight, and now my mirror is not moving. Then all you have to do is just these main ones to tighten the mirror down. So hopefully this was helpful for you guys. If it's not, feel free to let me know and I'll try to help you through the process. But these cheap bar and mirrors, they're great. I mean, I've had these on for 9 months now and they're good quality. They're doing just fine. But they are a little bit of a pain to install with those spreaders. That's just how they are. So hopefully this was helpful for you guys. If you have any questions, feel free to message me or comment on the video. Great, thanks.